Very good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Sanket Charkha from Sinhagad Institute's Savitribai Phule Pune University. Today, we are dealing with or we are starting with the lecture of Economic Analysis of Business Decision, the third chapter. First chapter lectures, we have seen about what is meant by economics with respect to micro, macro, and managerial economics. Second chapter, we have dealt with the concept of demand, that is law of demand and determinants of demand. Third chapter, we are in my last lecture, we have dealt with what is law of supply and the various determinants of supply. Quick overview within few seconds or few minutes will take definition of given by Thomas, determinants of supply, then law of supply. When the price of commodity increases, then its quantity supplied increases, and when its price decreases, its quantity supplied decreases, other things remaining the same. So supply is function of price where S is equal to F of P. Assumptions to the law of supply, that is no change in the price of factors, price of related goods, goals of the firm, expectation of the producer, state of technology, number of producers, government policy, taxation and subsidy rate. So there is no change at every position. Supply schedule with respect to individual supply schedule and market supply schedule. Supply curve wherein the price of the goods or the price of commodity and the quantity supplied has been provided for you, and accordingly the price of commodity increases from 10 rupees to 50 rupees, and in the same way or in the same fashion simultaneously the quantity that has been supplied also increases from 2 to 10 in the respective manner or in the respective fashion. The supply curve, it is moving in an upward position, and the reason for supply curve moving in an upward position is changes in the stock level, profit or loss possibility, entry of the firm, exit of the firm, and incentives for innovations. Exceptions to the law of supply, future expectations of prices, increase in agricultural goods, perishable preference, goods for immediate action, disposable of the old stock, rare goods, and the backward countries. Then we have started with the concept of market structure, wherein necessarily need not to be a place, but also in commodity and the buyers and sellers who are in a direct competition with one another. So a place where goods and services are being bought and sold, it's called as a market structure. Market, it is further divided into two categories, so that is a perfect market and an imperfect market. Perfect market wherein all the factors of mobility of production are quite stable, and accordingly we have seen what are the various features of perfect competitive market. Imperfect market further divided into two categories, that is monopoly, monopolistic, oligopoly, and duopoly. There is four types of imperfect market conditions. Determinants of market structure with respect to nature and supply of sellers, number and nature of buyers, nature of product, entry and exit conditions, and lastly the economies of scale. Basis of classification of market, that is the markets have been classified on the basis of area, nature of transaction, volume of business, commodity and services, time, status of sellers, legality, and the nature of competition. Now, what is the definition of perfect competitive market? That is a place where there is a complete absence of rivalry among both the buyers and the sellers. So that particular situation is called a perfect competitive market. That is, each and every seller and each and every buyer is having a perfect competition or a perfect freedom with respect to purchase and selling of goods and services, and there is no rivalry. That is zero rivalry or zero competition into the market. Market structure is in which all firms and industry are price takers, and in which there is a freedom for entry and exit of the firm. So whenever you feel you can enter, whenever you feel you can exit from a particular market situation. Features of perfect competitive market: large number of buyers and sellers, homogeneous product, free entry and exit, perfect knowledge, absence of transportation cost, perfect mobility, no artificial restrictions, and absence of the selling cost are the different features of a perfect competitive market. The various advantages and disadvantages of the perfect competitive market are consumer sovereignty, benefits to the consumers, cost saving, and the economic efficiency. With respect to disadvantages, no economies of scale, homogeneous products, insufficient profit, free flow of technology, and lastly, the external factors are the various advantages and disadvantages of the perfect competitive market. Now, in my last lecture, we have dealt with respect to the pricing under the perfect competition market with respect to total market demand and total market supply, and what comprises of the total pricing under the perfect competition, wherein the seller is considered as a price taker and not as the price maker. Then we have seen a graphical representation with respect to price and output determination under the perfect competitive market. Equilibrium of firm in the short run, that is which is called as an abnormal profit, the losses, and lastly the normal or break-even point. Then equilibrium of the firm in the long run, equilibrium of the firm in the short run, and equilibrium of industry in the long run. So in this way, different four to five factors were also been dealt with, and it was also been studied. Okay, now any difficulty or any questions at this stage, or do we move to next topic? We are moving with the another next unit or next topic, that is monopoly. Quickly, any one of you? No. Okay. Now moving with the monopoly, monopoly is a market situation or of consideration wherein single firm selling a commodity for which there is no close substitute. So here what do we see? In the perfect competitive market, there were large number of buyers and large number of sellers. But in case of monopoly, what is the situation? What is the condition? There is only one single firm, and one single firm is selling a commodity for which there is no close substitute. There is no competitor or no alternative manufacturer available who is ready to sell and purchase those goods and services. So only one seller is a particular concern who is selling those commodity, who is selling those goods, and that particular market situation only where there is a situation of one seller, that market situation is called as a monopoly situation, where one and only one firm produces and sells a certain product or service. So only one firm, that is one manufacturer or one firm or one retailer is there, and he's only selling the product or one commodity. So single seller and one firm industry. So entire industry is being regulated, it is been controlled by a single person or a single manufacturer or a single seller. Now, what are the various features of monopoly? So here, the first feature of monopolistic market is a single seller here at this stage. So there is only one manufacturer, only one single seller, wherein he is only manufacturing those goods and services. Another a good representation of graphical picture wherein you can draw into examination about how a representation can be made in an effective way. So monopoly is a particular situation, is a particular market condition wherein only we have one seller, that is a single seller, and he is only manufacturing and he is only selling the commodity into the market, and there is no other person who is either manufacturing or who is either selling the product or who is selling the commodity. Restricted entry. So here in this case of a monopolistic competition or a monopoly situation, there is very restrictions with respect to the entry as a market concern. Now why there is restriction with respect to the market entry? Because there is a stiff competition, or the person who is either selling or who is manufacturing that particular commodity, there is no close substitute available for this particular concern, and accordingly there are lot many restrictions for the entry perspective. Restrictions created. Now whoever creates these particular restrictions have been created by the manufacturer itself, and accordingly he does not want to create any competition or a competitor for his respective product. So in order to curtail this particular competition, in order to control the situation, what is the certain changes in the market economy has been undertaken. Accordingly, entire market has been controlled by a single person, that is a single seller. Homogeneous product. So there is no homogeneous or a similar or a competitive product available in respect to your product that is into existence. Now, for example, Mr. Sumeg is a particular person and he's manufacturing or he's producing certain commodity or certain goods. Now, accordingly, what he will do, he will try to manufacture, he will try to produce, or he will try to invent certain type of product which cannot be replaced by some another people. So if your product is not competitive, if your product is not able to be manufactured or close substitute is not able to be prepared, then accordingly you start ruling a particular market situation, and accordingly the homogeneous product is not available. Control on price. Now here the control of price is always maintained by the person who is manufacturer or who is controlling that particular market situation. So here there is no control on the prices. So whatever price the monopoly, that is the firm is been setting, that price has to be accepted by all the people. That is whether you are a purchaser or whether you are a buyer or whether you are a wholesaler or retailer, everyone has to accept the price that is being provided by the manufacturer. So for example, in a monopolistic market, if the manufacturer quotes a certain price of rupees 10 lakh, then everyone has to accept the price of rupees 10 lakh only, whether the cost of goods of that particular concern is maybe 5 lakhs also. So additional amount of 5 lakh you have to bear for it, and in a monopoly situation you have to pay an additional sum or an additional amount or a certain concern. So here in this case, there is no control on pricing as a certain concern or as a certain factor. The price keeps on increasing as and when the particular vendor feels he can increase or he can charge a certain amount whenever he feels. So if a profit margin has to be increased, then accordingly the profit margin or the profit percentage is being increased by the monopolistic firm, and he keeps on charging a higher quantity or higher amount of goods and services. Price discrimination. Yes, there is a certain situation wherein the price discrimination between the people can also be undertaken. Now we have seen the discrimination in terms of caste. Now in terms of price discrimination, that is for example, there are two vendors. That is one person is Mr. Sanket. He went to a particular shop and he's going to purchase a certain commodity. So for a particular person, that is Mr. Sanket, the price will be charged will be different. For Mr. Sumeg, the price charge will be different. For Mr. Sumeg, the price charge will be different, and so on. Or another concern, for example, if Miss Vaishnavi goes to the particular shop and she starts purchasing the goods and commodity, but she is a known customer or she is a regular customer. So for Vaishnavi, the price charge will be different for those particular concern. So in this way, there is a price discrimination in terms of monopoly situation also. So what a monopoly person can do, whether the firm who is under the monopoly situation, he can charge different price to different people. That is, the price charged for Mr. Sanket is 10 lakh, the price charged for Mr. Sumeg is 5 lakh, the price charged for Ms. Vaishnavi is 1 lakh, and accordingly the price charged for some another person is maybe 15 lakhs also. So in this way, there can be a situation wherein different prices can be charged to different people. Scope for merger. Now here there is no scope for merger for the merger of the firms between two or more firms which come together. Why? Because the product is very competitive, the product is very homogeneous, and there is no close substitute available for this particular concern. Now, if the close substitute for your product is not available, now there are very less chances that a merger can be undertaken between two or more companies. Now, mergers in the sense that is a coordination between the industry, between the sectors, and so on. But if at all you feel that a certain merger has to be undertaken, then accordingly, at this stage, the cost the company has to pay, or the cost the purchasing company has to pay for the perspective of the joint venture is quite higher. That is, in standard norms and conditions, it will be around 150% or 200% of the actual costing of that particular project that is into existence. So for the merger concern, there are very less chances wherein a merger can be undertaken. But in another situation, if the merger is undertaken, the cost that the company has to bear for, or the cost the company has to pay for, is quite bit higher according to the terms of standard norms that are into existence. Next concern is the price elasticity. Now, price elasticity, what we have seen, the price elasticity is a particular concern wherein there is always change in the price level, and accordingly the quantity demanded is also increasing. That is, we have seen price elasticity in terms of demand. Whenever we were studying law of demand, what we were saying, that the price keeps on changing, whether the price increases, whether the price decreases, and accordingly in the same fashion the price keeps on either increasing or it keeps on decreasing. Now, for the price monopoly, I'll show you a certain diagram. Can you see what am I drawing? Hello?
No, sir.
I have drawn a certain.
No, sir.
It's a plain screen.
Oh, the diagram you cannot see?
No, sir.
नाही मी परवा केलं होतं ना तर ते दिसलं होतं तर परवा कॅमेरा चालू होता ओके that day my camera was on so okay wait a minute I'll start my camera then you will be able to see hold on for a minute हेच ब्लॅकबोर्ड आहे आपलं just few seconds and I'll be able to show you the presentation sorry the screen माझ्या फोनच्या कॅमेराला काय झालं Can you now? The camera is on, I think. I have on it.
Yes, sir.
So here in this case, we have X, Y axis, and this is your X axis. Based on your X axis and Y axis, based on your X and Y axis, we have the concept of law of demand in which the demand curve is of a certain position wherein it is always in a downward position wherein it is always sloping downwards. Now, whenever the demand curve is sloping downwards at every stage, as the price of a particular commodity decreases, the quantity demanded keeps on increasing. Inverse relationship between the price and quantity demanded. Here, earlier you have 5 examples, now I am taking only 2 examples. Sorry, 4. 50, 40, 30, 20. Quantity demanded 20, 30, sorry, 2, 4, 6, 8. So this was the particular concern wherein we have seen the concept of law of demand, and based on the changes in the price level, based on the changes in the price, the value or the quantity demanded keeps on increasing and decreasing. Now the concept of elasticity of demand, whether if there is a change in elasticity of the demand. Elasticity of demand is a particular concern wherein either you have extension to demand, or you have contraction in demand, or you have increase in demand, or you have decrease in demand. Or now here, what was the formula that was available for elasticity? I'll write and at the top. ED, that is elasticity of demand, was a certain concern. Where elasticity of demand is either equal to 1, greater than 1, less than 1, equal to 0, and it is infinity. So these were the 5 types or 5 components in which the elasticity of demand was been defined or it was being created. Now your demand curve may either move to a certain position wherein it can have an either extension in demand, or it can have contraction in demand, or it may be less than unitary, that is less than 1 and greater than 1, which means your demand position is starting at this position but is moving in this particular fashion, or your demand curve is greater than 1 wherein it is starting from this position and it is moving in this direction, or a demand position or a demand curve wherein it can be called as an unitary, wherein the demand position is of a certain consideration wherein the price remains the same, but accordingly there is no change in the price level, or there is no change in the quantity that is demanded. So it is meaning of it is equal to infinity. So whether the quantity or whether the price of the product increases or decreases, there is no impact or there is no change, but the quantity demanded keeps on increasing or keeps on decreasing as and when the need is been arise. So the price remains constant over a period of time, that is for the period of calculation of either 1 year or 5 years or 10 years, and the price is very constant for your calculation duration, and accordingly only there is change in the quantity that is demanded. So here what is the difference? We have the difference of either, now the first slide, that is decrease, second is increase, next is the contraction, and next is the that is called as an extension or contraction in demand. So 4 perspectives, and the 5th perspective here at this stage is the demand is equal to infinity. So here the demand curve is parallel to x-axis wherein the price remains the same and the quantity demanded keeps on changing as per your need, income requirement, and the income level of a particular consumer. Got the price elasticity we have seen with respect to what is the consideration of the price elasticity. Now moving with the next concept, lack of innovation. So if there is lack of innovation in a particular concern with respect to if a particular product is been manufactured, it has been developed by a certain person who is of a monopoly situation, and if there is no innovative techniques or innovative product that has been created, then at this stage the product that is been available into the market is of a very competitive nature, and due to this concern the monopoly situation can be arised about how a product can be offered for sale. Now, if the particular product offered for sale is of innovative purpose, then accordingly the person may charge you a certain higher amount, and based on the higher amount that is being charged for you, the amount that is made available, or the product or commodity that has been available for sale, is always of a very competitive nature. Now, how to control this situation? In order to control this situation, we have to see about the innovative practice or the innovative use of technology that can be available over a period of time. So always innovative techniques has to be used, and accordingly based on those concerns, we can apply the various features or factors of monopoly that is into existence. And lastly, lack of competition. So lack of competition is a major feature of monopoly market, wherein there are no competitors available. Why? Because only your product or your commodity or your service has been ruling into the market, and there are no other competitors who are available. So if you are a particular concern who are a single manufacturer, if you are a particular concern who are a single seller, then based on those concerns, you will be only able to identify and take the entire profits of a market situation. So in this case, we have to understand, or we have to identify about what are the various features of monopoly and how a market situation can be made beneficial or available to all the competitors at large. Okay, any difficulty at this stage in understanding the features of monopoly? Okay, so moving ahead now, what are the various sources of monopoly? So, due to which concern or due to which factors the monopoly in the market situation can arise? First thing, economies of scale. So, if there is no economies of scale, so here at this stage also the monopoly can be arised into a particular market. So, economies of scales means equal distribution of the factors of production. So, what are the various factors of production? That is land, labor, capital, enterprise, and resources. So, the various 4 or 5 factors of production which are into existence, and if they are not equally distributed, that is economies of scale, that is the scale, that is now whenever we say that there are 5 factors of production or 4 factors, then every factors of production must be available in a proper proportion. That is, if you consider as the 5 factors of production, then every factor of production must be available in 20% in an equal proportion. If you consider 4 factors of production, then every factors of production which is required for your business must be available for at least around 25% in an equal proportion or equal balance. So the economies of scale. So for your production activity, for your manufacturing activity, for your distribution activity, or for your selling activity, whatever the sources, whatever the components that have been required, each and every sources, each and every component must be available in abundant stage, and it must be available in a perfect situation. So if there is imperfect market situation, if the factors of production are not been in a stable position, then the monopoly can arise, and accordingly the another person, that is the seller or the manufacturer, can have a better control on the market. Product differentiation. So if your product is of such a nature that it cannot be differentiated from different people, then accordingly a monopoly situation can arise into a particular market, and here in this case a particular situation can be that is the product differentiation feature can be availed by a certain person, and accordingly he can control the entire market scenario. Next concern, now with respect to product differentiation, if your product is different from others, that is whatever product that you are offering for a particular customer or to a consumer, and if that particular product is very competitive, it is very good, it is very having a good features or a brand value or association, then accordingly based on the differentiation category, people will be ready to accept your product only based on whatever the pricing may be charged to those people. So if the product is very different from all the product that is available into the market, and there is no close substitute available for your product, then accordingly we can say that the product based on the product differentiation, the monopoly can be arised or it can be created into a market situation. Absolute cost advantage. So if you are having a certain absolute cost advantage, now what is the cost advantage? Cost advantage is a particular concern wherein based on some another factors. Now which are the various factors? That is natural advantage, comparative advantage, and acquired advantage. Natural advantage is a particular concern. Now, for example, taking the example of Konkan region. Now, Konkan region is a particular concern wherein there is good amount of rainfall available, and it is good for a situation or for manufacturing of cashew nuts, for manufacturing of mangoes, and manufacturing of rice. Whereas the area of Marathwada, wherein it is a dry situation, it is good for manufacturing of jawar or bajra. Whereas the climatic conditions or the area of Punjab, Haryana, Uttarakhand, it is good for manufacturing of wheat, because the soil that has been available at this particular state, it is very good for those manufacturing. If you go to Assam, if you go to Sri Lanka, if you go to Nagaland, that particular land or that particular environment is good for manufacturing of tea. If you go to different states, and accordingly based on these different states perspective, there are various concern about how cost advantage can be acquired for. So in this case, absolute cost advantage can be identified about what are the various factors or features in which a market situation can be arised and it can be created over a period of time. So based on the situation, we can identify whether it is a natural advantage, whether it is a cost advantage, or whether it is a comparative advantage. Cost advantage, now the concept of cost advantage specifically means about what are the various cost factors that can be associated over a period of time. That is, a particular product may be purchased at a certain cost at a certain location, and the same product may be available at a different location at a different cost. So in this, now for example, if you want to purchase the Kashmiri shawl, now for purchasing the Kashmiri shawl or Kashmiri kesher, what is the concern? If you go in Kashmir, then the particular product may be available in less cost. But if you come to Maharashtra or some another region or another state of India, then accordingly the Kashmiri shawl or a Kashmiri kesher can be available at a bit higher cost. So this is the cost advantages from different people or different locations or different geographical persons. In respect of the acquired advantage, now take an example of Japan, take an example of Germany, France, and so on. or a certain concern of Korea. Now, these particular nations at the initial stage, they were not having anything. Every initial economy was growing at a very gradual stage. But what happened over a period of time, they have acquired different technologies. They have looked into a certain concern about how technological advancements can be done, how manufacturing activities can be undertaken very effectively, and hence the comparative or the acquired advantage was also been undertaken. So here we have three advantages, that is with respect to either it can be a natural advantage, either it can be a cost advantage, or it can be an acquired advantage. So based on the advantage that the particular company is having, that the particular manufacturer or the seller is having, your company can perform, or your firm or the industry can perform very effectively, and accordingly you can gain a monopoly into the market conditions or in the market situation. Capital requirement. So based on the capital requirement, so whether the capital requirement for a particular individual or for a particular trader is limited, or it is unlimited, or for a restricted period of time. So based on the now the capital requirement, when now capital requirement also means for a short-term capital or a long-term capital or a working capital requirement. So the requirement of capital for a monopolistic firm may be very limited because they are looking for qualitative product and quantity and not for quantitative product. So if you want to produce or manufacture qualitative product, then what do you need to do? You need to have a good technology, you need to have a better amount of resources, and according only then the qualitative products can be manufactured. But here the time required for a particular concern is very big or very large. That is, if you are looking for a qualitative product, various R&D, that is research and development, has to be undertaken, various investment factors has to be undertaken, and accordingly initially the capital requirement may be less, but later after a point of time when the product phase, that is actual manufacturing phase, comes into existence, when the implementation phase comes into existence, the capital requirement can be or may be much higher. So the sources of that is how monopoly can be arranged or how monopoly can be created. It can be created based on the certain concerns of capital requirement as to the concern of the requirement of capital income, where as to capital requirement of initially at the low level and gradually after a certain point of time at a bit higher level. So in this case, we have to identify about how various factors or features can be arise, it can be created, and in those concern, the manufacturing activities can be undertaken. Next concern, we have control over the inputs. So control over the inputs based on a certain concern about what are the various inputs that have been provided. That is, what are the raw material, what is required, what is the labor efficiency, what is the amount of capital that is required, what is the amount of water, resources, plant, land, and so on. So based on the all other control over the inputs. So if all the inputs have been provided in an effective stage, in a proper balanced position, then accordingly we can understand, we can see that the manufacturing activity can be undertaken very effectively or very fluently. So in this case, you can identify or you can see about the manufacturing activity which can be undertaken very effectively. So the control over inputs has to be there at every stage, every point of time, and accordingly we can see about how the control on the factors of production can be undertaken by a particular person or by a particular manufacturer. Now next concern with respect to the capital legal restrictions. Legal restrictions with respect to the firm, it may differ from firm to firm, company to company, and industry to industry, that is industry to industry. So legal restrictions are a particular concern wherein we have to understand at every stage, that is based on the changes in the government policy. So if the government is changing their policies respectively, accordingly your entry in the firm, your exit from the market, everything may change over a period of time, and accordingly the legal restrictions may be changing, and the legal restrictions may differ from a firm to firm or a company to company. Legal restrictions with respect to your manufacturing production capacity and so on. So a firm may have a good competitive position over the manufacturers, a firm may have a better competitive position with respect to the support from the government, and accordingly we can see about what restrictions can be provided. Now there are certain various, now in terms of Indian economy, we have a certain concept called as 5-year plan that was been implemented. Now every 5-year plan that was being implemented was having a different thrust or a different preference about how the goods, services, or which sector or industry has to be given a certain preference. Now the preference for the first 5-year plan was focused on the manufacturing industry or agriculture sector or pharmaceutical sector and so on, and accordingly at every stage the preference of the industry was being changing. In the year 2000, we have given more thrust to the IT sector. In the year 2010, we have given to the auto industry sector and so on. So legal restrictions. So whatever legal restrictions are available for you with respect to entry and exit, with respect to your position into the market, based on those concerns, your either entry or exit into the market, your restrictions to the market is been defined, and accordingly it is examined. And lastly, the strategic barriers. Strategic barriers with respect to the decision making powers or the authorities that have been undertaken by the top level, middle level and lower level management. So the various strategic decisions that one has to undertake for, if they have been taken in a very effective way or within a specified time period, then accordingly we can say that there are no strategic barriers with respect to the decision making authority or decision making powers. The strategic barriers with respect to the long-term decision and short-term decisions about the top management that they have to take also determines about how the firm will perform into a particular market. That is, which market to enter, which product to be offered for sale, what should be the price of the product, how much product quantity has to be sold, how the product has to be offered, and so on. So there are various factors with respect to concern you have to take into consideration about the strategic barriers as a major concern. Strategic barrier with respect to a particular concern about the concentration of long-term investment planning and short-term investment planning. Long-term investments are a particular concern wherein we have to understand about if you want to make a certain investment, then what amount of investment has to be done, what are the various returns or output that can be created, and what will be the profit generation from that particular venture. If it is a short-term capital requirement, then based on the short-term capital requirement, how the capital will be sourced, what are the various sources of capital, through which sources it can be identified, and how the sufficient available or acquisition of those resources can be undertaken. So these are the various features with respect to the strategic barriers. Strategic barriers are the concern with respect to the decision making authority or the powers of the management with respect to the immediate or the timely factors. So a particular management may take decisions very quickly, or a certain management may require a certain time factor for taking the decisions after a point of time. So strategic barriers differs on those particular perspectives about in what duration or in what time span the decisions will be undertaken by a certain person or by a certain management concern. So various sources of monopoly, that is, are the various factors due to which the monopoly into the market situation can arise or it can be created. So if the management is very healthy, it is very competitive, and they are very supportive to all the concerns, then accordingly we can say that the monopoly can be arised into a particular market, and the attitude of the management also here differs at a particular stage. That is, if the top management is feeling, that is, if your strategic partners, the board of directors or the chairman, he is of a certain opinion that only our product or only our commodity must regulate or must control the market situations, then accordingly they may provide a certain features, they may provide a certain factors with respect to how the effective and beneficial products can be created or it can be manufactured into a market situation. So in this case, the various sources of monopoly are being explained. That is, the economies of scale, the product differentiation, the absolute cost advantage, the capital requirements, the control over the inputs, the legal restrictions, and lastly, the strategic barriers. Now let's move to the next point, that is advantages and disadvantages of monopoly. First thing, R&D. So here as we have seen in the last slide, that is with respect to the consideration of the product differentiation or the capital requirement, the major first point that you can identify here is the concept of research and development. So here, if there is a more amount of research and development has to be undertaken, then accordingly the budget requirement is also a bit higher and bit in a good position. So advantages of monopoly is whenever a monopoly situation is arised into a particular market, then a particular concern is of a certain origination, that the product that you are manufacturing or the product that you are designing is always manufactured, it is always designed, or it is always offered to the customer based on a proper R&D that has been undertaken. So a good investment has been done in terms of R&D, a better qualitative and quantitative product has been offered to the customer, and it is having a good quality as a certain perception also. Economies of scale. So here the first point of sources of monopoly that focused on economies of scale, that is proper balance of factors of production, that is all the factors of production that are available for you, that is the land, labor, capital, enterprise and resources, are always undertaken over a period of time, and then accordingly the sources or factors of production can be accordingly managed for. The economies of scale also concerns about what balance features can also be undertaken with respect to how the माझे आयते दिसतात सगळ्यांना, मी माझ्या मेहनतीने घेऊन येतो, त्याचं काही नाही. economies of scale, we were dealing with the factors of economics of scale with respect to factors of production, with respect to the land, labor, capital, enterprise and resources, how they are to be employed and how efficient or optimum utilization of resources can be undertaken about the proper consumption. Corporate control with respect to the top management perspectives with respect to about how the control of the government, control of the management, control of the top level management can be into existence. The corporate control with respect to the decisions that have been taken by the management of short-term decisions, long-term decisions, strategic decisions, business decisions, and the investment decisions that have been undertaken falls under the purview of corporate control. So here we have a good control of the corporate situations, and accordingly the corporate control authorities are into existence. Stability in the prices. Now here the major advantage in terms of monopoly market is the stability in prices with respect to how a price has been controlled into the market concern. The monopoly is a particular market situation wherein only we have one seller and only one seller is ruling or controlling the market's position or the market situation. Now here in this case, what happened, whenever we have only one seller, the same price is been ruled, the same price that is been offered by a monopoly person is been offered for all the people, and only on based on those concerned, the price has been set and accordingly it is been offered for sale. So there are various higher chances that the same price may rule into the market, and accordingly the same product or same product or commodity can be offered for sale as and when the need arises. So always the monopoly has a certain right, that is the firm who is under the monopoly competition can look to it as a certain concern that the same price is being charged to all the people. Why? Because the product is more competitive, the product is more of a certain concern of a qualitative nature, and the customer is also needing to that particular product category. Sources of revenue. Now here the sources of revenue for the particular manufacturer, that is the person who is into the monopoly market, is of certain consideration that the source of revenue is quite definite and it is quite certain. That is whether the market will increase, whether the market will decrease, whether the income level of a consumer increases or decreases, whether the product requirement either increases or decreases, what are the changes in the market conditions. There will be no loss making situation to a particular person. Every commodity, every product will be sold out for effective concern, and accordingly there is a definite source of revenue for a person or a particular firm who is into monopoly situation. So so a market situation wherein you have a certain concern of the sources of, you have a certain concern with respect to how the product can be made available for a particular concern, and a market situation wherein you have a certain origination of a definite concern about the availability of profits over a period of time is of an advantage of a monopoly market. And massive profits. Now, if the product is very competitive, very qualitative in nature, then accordingly you may earn higher amount of profits also. So greater amount of profits can also be earned over a period of time, and accordingly a particular firm can understand or can take a certain decision about how the massive profits can be earned for. Now, with example to massive profits, that is what does a monopoly firm can do for a single, for example, for customer X, he may charge for rupees 10, for customer Y, he may charge at rupees 11, and for customer 12 Z, he may charge at rupees 12. So here in this case, as and when the need arises, the profit making situation can be increased and the person can start increasing the amount of profit, and here massive profit, that is excessive profits, can be earned by a certain people over a period of time. Disadvantages, exploitation of consumers. So here now let's look at the various perceptions of disadvantages. So what is the disadvantage of a monopoly market? That is, now here always the customer may get exploited over a period of time. That is, a customer may sometimes may be charged higher, sometimes may be charged lower, and accordingly there can be imbalances between the consumers also. Exploitation, that is if a product is available at rupees 20, and if for a particular concern for making the own or the benefit profit, if the product is sold at rupees 25, then accordingly the customer gets exploited for rupees 5 rupees. So here in this case there is always a differentiation between the consumers also. So for the regular customers, the product may be charged at the same rate, but for a different customer, the product may be charged at a certain different rate. So in this way, the consumers or the customers can get exploited over a period of time. Dissatisfied consumer. Now here, if at any stage here, if a consumer is dissatisfied or if he is not happy with the product that has been offered for him, then accordingly he may not purchase your product or he may not purchase your commodity. So here in this case, it is a very challenging position about how to keep a consumer satisfied or how to keep a consumer continuous with your product that is he is purchasing or whatever he is manufacturing. A dissatisfied consumer can lead to your actual losses, and accordingly a market situation may arise that wherein a market situation can be created that a product can be exited from the market also. So here every stage we have to understand or we have to see about how the consumer is being satisfied, how the good or qualitative product is being offered for him, and the better advantage over a cost of production is being created. Higher prices, as we have seen in terms of the sources of revenue, the particular trader or the particular seller may charge different prices to different consumers. That is, for person X he is charging 10, for person Y he is charging 11, and for person Z he is charging 12. So here, if the price increases accordingly, the customer may tend to switch his purchase decision, and accordingly he may not purchase the goods or he may not purchase the commodity also. So if the product is charged at a higher rate, then accordingly it is a disadvantage to the firm also, and it is disadvantageous to the consumer also. How it is disadvantage to the firm? Because the firm will lose a particular customer. That is, earlier the customer was ready to purchase at rupees 10, but now if the price increases to rupees 12, then accordingly the customer will not purchase. And a loss to the consumer. Now higher prices, how it is a loss to the consumer? Earlier the product was affordable for a consumer for rupees 10, but now it is 12 rupees, so it is not affordable, and the consumer may cancel his purchase decision. So increase in the prices also is of a particular concern, wherein the higher prices may tend to decrease the amount of goods that have been purchased or that have been offered for sale. Price discrimination, yes, there is a concept of price discrimination wherein different prices have been charged to different customers, and accordingly it is of a market situation wherein one customer may charge one customer will be charged a single price, another customer will be charged a different price, and accordingly the price discrimination may be created into a market. A monopoly has a certain right about getting the profits also. So if a monopoly that is they may create a certain concept called as an perception of an demand with respect to a certain concern. That is, they may create a demand into the market, or they may decrease the demand into the market also. So price discrimination can be also possible about whether the product is of a good qualitative nature or a bad qualitative nature. If the product is of a bit good quality, or if it is of a superior nature, then accordingly the seller or the retailer may charge higher prices, and if the product is of a standard or the normal quantity, then accordingly still he may charge a different product, a different commodity. Why? Because the market situation is of a monopoly nature, and he is the controller of that particular market. So in this case, based on the price discrimination, the different charge or the different prices may be charged to different consumers or different customers. Inferior goods and services. So here there are various higher chances that inferior amount of goods and services can be charged to different people or different customers also. That is, now here there is always a particular seller who is always selling a particular commodity, and the customer is in need of a particular commodity or in a certain goods. Now if at a certain stage if a customer is in need, then accordingly here what can be a situation that if he is in a need of that particular commodity, then he will tempt to purchase that particular commodity whatever may be the price situation, whether the price is increased, whether the price is decreased, the customer is ready to purchase the goods or services at any quantity or any price. But here what happened, whenever there is a mass production or the bulk production that has been undertaken, the quality of the goods may get differ or it may get deteriorated. So here inferior goods and services may also be provided to a certain consumers, and accordingly there can be a market situation about the quality of the product may decrease over a period of time. And lastly, the concept of price and cost control. So here always there is a flexibility in the price that is being charged to a consumer. That is, the price always differs or it changes based on the amount of profit a particular monopoly firm has to gain for. If he is looking for more profit, then accordingly the price may increase, and if he is looking for the average amount of profit, then accordingly the price can be stable into a monopoly market. And lastly, the cost control. The cost control is also differ, or it is also changing based on the certain considerations about how a market situation keeps on changing. If you want to now, if for example, if the cost of production increases, if the R&D increases, if the availability of raw material or the cost of raw material increases, if the bank financing increases, if the amount of working capital increases, if all the factors keeps on increasing, then accordingly what happen, the cost control factor also starts increasing, and accordingly the total cost also increases of a particular firm or of a particular commodity. So in this case, there is a certain disadvantage to the firm also and to the consumers also. That is, the changes in the prices or changes in the cost control is not in the hands of the particular customer, and accordingly at every stage he may get a certain position about how a particular product may be offered for sale, whether at a higher position or whether at a lower position. So these are the various advantages and disadvantages of a monopoly market. Okay, it's 9:50. That's all for today's lecture. Thank you so much everyone for joining. Good day.
Good day, sir.
Okay. I am posting the link of attendance in the chat box. Students to please mark their attendances accordingly.